Colombian prosecutor Luz Adriana Camargo and Venezuelan prosecutor Tarek William Saab discuss a cooperation mechanism to control paramilitary threats in their countries. The United Nations condemned Israel for maintaining the blockade on humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip. And in Niger, authorities declared a curfew in several cities after a mass escape from a maximum security prison was confirmed. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR Studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. Colombian prosecutor Luz Adriana Camargo and Venezuelan prosecutor Tarek William Saab discussed a cooperation mechanism to control paramilitary threats in their countries. The head of the Venezuelan Public Prosecutor's Office reported on the telematic meeting with his Colombian counterpart and members of their respective offices. William Saab informed they discussed international criminal cooperation mechanisms for the exchange of information on the denunciation made by the Colombian paramilitary group, which claimed to have been contacted by the Venezuelan extreme right to carry out terrorist actions in the electoral context. Both offices agreed to mutual legal assistance regarding 6 items, one of them related to the creation of a joint investigation team. On Thursday, the presidential candidate of the Great Patriotic Poll, Nicolás Maduro, toured the state of Aragua, where he affirmed that there is much to be done to consolidate the changes. With this statement, the president reflected the objective of recovering labor rights, fully restoring education and health, and building the 3 million new homes that people need. Maduro also ratified that from now on, a stage of changes and transformations is coming to bring about the miracle of full recovery, happiness and peace that will take place in Venezuela. The Venezuelan head of state recognized as well the programs carried out by the government in social transformation, among them the delivery to the people of La Victoria of its theater recovered by the 1+10 of good government.
On July the 28th, these people will go out to vote for peace, for stability, for the future of life, to build the 3 million new homes for the people who need them. Aragua, I am Nicolás Maduro Moros, President of the people, and I am ready to bring more changes and transformations, and the really right ways that come to Venezuela. On July the 28th is decided. Hate or love, fascists or patriots, violence or peace, colony or independent homeland, persecution and fascism, or democratic freedom.
The sanctions imposed by the White House on Venezuela is a latent issue among the 10 presidential aspirants. It should be noted that the Venezuelan ultra-right has repeatedly asked Washington to blockade their country in an attempt to stifle the government.
Music and dancing are always part of every act. The Venezuelan head of state and candidate is the first to be ready for it. Carabobo, one of the Chavismo stronghold states, promises to mitigate the damage it caused to the country by the more than 900 unilateral economic measures imposed by the United States.
We are seeing a new awakening of history, of national consciousness. People are clear that they do not want to return to the past. They are clear that they want peace and stability. They want a new economy and to recover their rights.
Professor and presidential candidate Claudio Fermin, despite his opposition to the government, agrees on a key point.
One of the evilest aggressions that the country has experienced throughout its history has been these sanctions, called this way euphemistically. Still, in the end, it has been a revenge of a group of powers that control a government or a country, blackmailing it economically with an economic blockade, which has prevented us from selling oil and gas freely.
Luis Eduardo Martinez is the presidential candidate for Democratic Action, who is touring the interior of the country. On his social networks, he shows what he calls people to people. He ended this tour with young people and seniors. Today, the Arepa Digital candidate did not carry out any activity to seek votes. He delivered a document to the electoral arbiter,
thus enhancing the confidence in the electoral process.
Publicly, no agenda of the far right-wing party was known. And while several candidates are seen in activities with interviews, advertisements, and moving from side to side, the National Electoral Council continues auditing the software to count the total number of votes and machine production.
Brazil's federal police began this Thursday to investigate an illegal espionage network established in the intelligence agencies of Jair Bolsonaro's government. In a statement, the federal police informed that the objective of the investigation is to dismantle a criminal organization created to illegally monitor public authorities and produce false notes using systems of the Brazilian intelligence agency. It also detailed that federal police officers are serving 5 preventive arrest warrants and 7 search and seizure warrants, issued by the Federal Supreme Court in the cities of Brasilia, Curitiba, Juiz de Fora, Salvador, and Sao Paulo. Two of the Argentine demonstrators were arrested during the protest against the bases law and the repression by the Buenos Aires police. Patricia Calarco Arredondo and Roberto de la Cruz Gomez were indicted by the Buenos Aires Federal Court. Likewise, the indictments of 2 other defendants were confirmed, although in their cases they were granted release, while the chamber also ordered the lack of merit of Facundo Gomez, who had already regained his freedom in a court intervention last week. Meanwhile, the Tiempo Argentino platform stated that the arguments presented by the judges insist on the subsistence of evidentiary measures, such as the study of the content of cell phones and of what was obtained through images of the area and moments of the events. Bolivian prosecutor Franklin Alborta reported on Thursday that 34 people allegedly linked to failed coup d'etat against the government of Bolivian President Luis Arce are currently under investigation, although more arrest warrants, raids, and other actions will be extended to delimit responsibilities. One of the detainees is Aníbal Aguilar, a former advisor to the Ministry of Defense, identified as the ideologist of the coup attempt. The detainee was transferred early Thursday morning from police cells to the La Paz Workers' Hospital due to health complications. Likewise, the 4th Criminal Chamber of the Departmental Court of Justice of La Paz revoked last Saturday the house arrest granted to Aguilar and ordered his transfer to the San Pedro prison in the city of La Paz on a preventive basis for 5 months. Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and more. Don't go away, stay with us. Welcome back. The United Nations Human Rights Council approved on Thursday a resolution calling for greater support from the international community for the implementation of the Colombian Peace Accord. The resolution also calls for the cooperation of the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights to implement the recommendations of the international expert Chilean Antonia Urrejola, who was tasked with identifying obstacles to the implementation of the 2016 agreement. The The text recommended the Colombian Attorney General's office to investigate the complaints filed last year by the Special Jurisdiction for Peace. Also, in the context of the 2016 agreement, the President of Colombia, Gustavo Petro, attended on Thursday the presentation to the United Nations Security Council of the second quarterly monitoring report on its implementation and pointed out that the objectives proposed have yet to be achieved.
Colombia hay 10 millones de campesinos de 55 millones de habitantes.
In Colombia, there are 10 million peasants out of 55 million inhabitants. But only 1% has 90% of the fertile land. And that 1% has used the fertile land not to produce food but to launder the assets of drug trafficking and defends it with blood and fire. That is why we have millions of displaced people. Hundreds of massacres was what the peace agreement of 2016 wanted to solve. Therefore, it is an agreement to include socially, economically, and politically the peasant population of Colombia. What has happened to date? The peace agreement did not produce a national agreement. It was not possible to make the national pact of which you speak, and that has been placed among you as a unilateral declaration of state, a commitment of Colombia before humanity. It has not been possible because Colombian society is literally divided in two. During all this century, one that bets on a military solution to the conflict, another that bets on a negotiated solution that has other forms.
On Thursday, the United Nations condemned Israel for maintaining the blockade on humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip. In this sense, the statement stressed that 90% of the population of this region is exposed to the most severe levels of hunger. Precisely, according to official figures, more than 20 children under the age of 10 have already died of starvation, and thousands are suffering from different degrees of malnutrition. On the other hand, the World Health Organization said that only 5 trucks carrying aid have been allowed into the country in the last week. At least 3 Palestinian civilians were killed on Friday after an Israeli airstrike on a residential building in the central Gaza Strip. Palestinian media also reported that several injured people, including a girl, were transferred to the Al-Auda hospital in the town of Nusayrat as a result of the airstrike. On the other hand, Israeli forces committed 2 massacres in the Gaza Strip during the last 24 hours since Thursday, resulting in the confirmed death of at least 50 Palestinians and the wounding of 55 others. The Gaza Strip Health Ministry confirmed that the number of Palestinians killed by the Israeli genocidal operation exceeds 38,000 and more than 88,000 injured. About 60 bodies of slain Palestinians were recovered Thursday after a prolonged Israeli ground offensive in the eastern Gaza neighborhood of Suhaija, although the number is estimated to be higher. Due to the Israeli air and ground attacks, 85% of Suhaija's residential buildings have been left uninhabitable and almost desolate, while a medical clinic serving more than 60,000 citizens was destroyed. This has aggravated the humanitarian crisis. Israeli forces continue to raid the Tel Hawa neighborhood and several others in Gaza City, systematically targeting all aspects of life. The 5th Japan-Arab Economic Forum kicked off in Tokyo, where the Asian nations' government, together with the Arab League, addressed the cessation of the genocide in the Gaza Strip. In the framework of the forum, during a meeting with the Japanese government cabinet led by the Secretary General of the Council of Ministers, Yoshimasa Hayashi, the head of the Arab bloc Blockade urged Tokyo to recognize Palestine as a sovereign and independent state, as it would set an example to followed by other countries. Furthermore, Gate reaffirmed the need to bring peace to the Middle East region and warned of the grave repercussions of the Israeli genocide against the Gaza Strip. We have a financial break coming up, but before we invite you to join our WhatsApp community for our English-speaking audience. You can scan the QR code on screen to join directly and share the link to reach more people. Constant news coverage of Latin America and the Caribbean, as well as the rest of the world. Financial break, don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. In Niger, authorities declared a curfew in several cities after a mass escape of inmates from a maximum security prison was confirmed. This way, an unspecified number of prisoners escaped from the high security prison of Koutoukale, located about 50 kilometers northwest of Niamey in the region of Tillabéri, southwest of Niger. According to local sources, the detainees managed to take control of the penitentiary institution during a riot, later escaping from the premises. In this context, the government has imposed a curfew on the Tillabéri region and a blockade on the whole area, with active search operations underway. The prison is known to be the place of confinement of numerous members of terrorist groups. More than 60 people are missing in Nepal after a landslide caused by heavy rains in the area swept away 2 passenger buses in the center of the Asian country. According to the official, at least 3 of the 66 passengers managed to get out before the vehicles plunged into the Siriruhuli River and are now being treated at a nearby hospital. The Chitwan district chief reported that personnel from the police, army and armed forces arrived at the landslide site to conduct search and rescue operations. Nepal police reported that at least 11 people were killed in Kaski district the day before in a landslide caused by heavy rains in the area. Japan's local police and fire departments reported on Friday that 3 people were missing after their home was buried in a landslide in a residential area as a result of the heavy rains affecting the west of the Asian country. The incident took place at dawn in Matsuyama town, Ehime Prefecture, where the Japan Meteorological Agency is maintaining an alert for heavy rains, storms, floods, and possible landslides in low-lying areas. Local media reported that before 4 a.m. local time, a mountainside near houses and apartment blocks in a residential area collapsed in a 50-meter wide by 100-meter high strip, and authorities confirmed that 3 residents were unable to escape. Bolivian authorities have warned that climate instability due to global warming is causing extreme high and low temperatures to affect the entire country. The Bolivian Vice Minister of Civil Defense, Juan Carlos Calvimontes, pointed out that the low temperatures in these regions are affecting crops, grain and vegetable production. Calvimontes detailed that the drought affected 27 municipalities, 364 communities, and caused 13 municipalities to declare municipal disaster due to lack of water and to declare municipal emergency. Meanwhile, the head of meteorology and climatology of Senamhi, Enrique Peñarrieta, indicated that the El Niño phenomenon has behaved contrary to expectations, causing a lot of rain in the east and little in the western region of Bolivia. The Paris 2024 mascot is Olympic Pride, a name that comes from the traditional small Parisian caps from which the mascots take their shape. The name and design were chosen as symbol of freedom and to represent allegorical figures of the Republic of France, as the vision of Paris 2024 is to demonstrate that sport can change lives. Mascots will play an important role, leading to revolution through sport. The Olympic Prize, created by the Games design team, is decked out in blue, white and red, the colors of the French tricolor flag, with the gold Paris 2024 logo on its chest. The motto of the Olympic Prize and the Paralympic Prize is "Alone we go faster, but together we go further." We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social media: Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram and TikTok as well. For TeleSUR English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.